And welcome back to What If, and it's part 6 of What If Goku Had a Sister, part 6. So last time on the Dragon Ball Z What If, Trunks had shown up to the future, but it's not the future he was expecting. Also, Vegeta's dead, as is Frieza and the gang. By who, you may ask? Well, go and watch the last chapter if you haven't watched that. Which, by the way, if you haven't watched the last chapter, why are you watching this one? But yes, Trunks came to the past, only to find, wait, who are you? It's like, I'm Raditz. It's like, wait, then, oh crap, baskets. Yep, turns out multiverse theory's a bit of a bitch, but he's still, he's still gonna, ask Goku, like, all right, Goku, I need to test you, basically. I need to just know how strong you really are. So, he asked Goku to spar with him, and unfortunately, Goku gets his ass kind of handed to him, and he's just like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Can't you turn into a Super Saiyan, Goku? What's a Super Saiyan? Sorry, my name's Kakarot. Why do you keep calling me Goku? Now Trunks is actually, worried. It's like, wait, and you still have your tail? Oh, this isn't good. So, now he's just trying to think, okay, did I make a mistake or something? Like, who is this guy? I have no idea. And then Raditz and Maze, of all people, is like, you mentioned Super Saiyan. What does that old legend have to do with anything? It's not a legend. It's true. It's reality. Super Saiyans exist. It's like, and only a Super Saiyan can stop what's coming. What the heck are you talking about? So it's like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. He transforms into a Super Saiyan, showing it off to them all, and they're all just stunned by what they're seeing. Just, whoa. Piccolo can sense it way off in the ways. So it's like, what kind of power is that? It's insane. Piccolo at this point probably with a lot of training has hit about 100,000. Because remember, we don't have Nail fusing with him. We don't have a lot of what normally has happened in the series. So and then he figures, well, I might as well tell them anyway. These androids will come and destroy you, and you're going to get a heart virus that not even a Super Saiyan can survive. Now, right off the bat, some people have constantly said, or asked, like, didn't you get the heart virus from, Yardrat? And I have to keep telling people, there is nothing that officially says that. Nothing at all that says he got it from Yardrat. So it's like, why did Goku only get it? Well, he didn't, as far as we know, because it's not like he was a carrier or anything like that, and then it spread to everyone else. As far as we know, there were other people that got it. Hence why a vaccine had to be made for it. So he still explains what's going to happen, and then Trunks basically heads. Actually, I think, Trunks, I would say Trunks would say maybe show him how to do Super Saiyan, but it's unfortunately something that Trunks doesn't want to try to alter the past too much. Unfortunately, he's in the wrong timeline to begin with, so, but he still thinks he has to leave. And notes that, Vegeta's not around. So, where does that leave us for the 3 years? Well, Gohan again is going to stay, he might train a bit, but he's going to stay out of the fray. If anything, one day he's just kind of wandering through the forest, and granted, Gohan at this point is about half the age that he normally would be, if I remember where I kept him. Yeah, he's about half the age he normally would have been by this period of time, I believe. Because we had him at 2, go a year, then go... He'd be 6 by this point, whereas in the original, he's actually close to 9. So, yeah, it's... Unfortunately, but Gohan's still pretty strong. He's about maybe 10,000 at this point. Again, not going to be factoring in. But he's traveling through, and he eventually, stumbles upon a waterfall. He sees someone training under the waterfall, or just under the waterfall next to it, and he's like, oh, who's that? And then, quickly, Piccolo senses him. He's like, who's that? Is that Goku's brat? What's that? Kakarot's brat? What is he doing here? And then he just kind of appears behind Gohan, just, what are you doing here, brat? Now, keep in mind, Piccolo probably hasn't been keyed in or clued in to the android showing up. So he still trains and his power still grows, not by the extent the others are growing. Like the other Z warriors, like Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, they all know this. They all know about the androids coming. So they actually have the heads up, and they've been they start training. In terms of where they end up, unfortunately, none of them are going to be ending up in the million range. I'm sorry. and I hate to bring it up, but I highly doubt many of them were in like the high million. They may have been in the millions by the end of like Super and stuff like that, but none of them were in like the really high millions. Best case scenario, you might have gotten some double digits in the low end of the scale, but none of them were. It's just because they're humans. They just once you hit the Saiyans and the Mechians, all that non-human individuals or cyborgs, you just hit ranges of power that by their human biology they're not capable of hitting. Not without like some sort of without Dragon Ball wish basically. He's like, I was just minding my own business. I don't want to fight you. Yeah, well, I don't want to fight you either. Why the hell are you coming at me? Wait, aren't you? But my aunt and my dad said you're easy. Yeah, well, I used to be. Not so much anymore. It's like, wait, you're not trying to take over? No, aren't you listening, you little brat? It's like, wait, well, what happened? And then Piccolo's kind of like, why should I tell you? I'm just asking. I'm sorry. I mean, you don't have to tell me. Piccolo's a little taken. It's like, someone's actually taking an interest in him? All right. But I was like, well, if you must know. And then he kind of just goes into the explanation that years pass. You know, I was young when that happened, kid, and I was coming off an evil father. But, I mean, I've been living out here a long time. For a while, it was kept fostering the hatred. But as time went on, and the gap between me and your father and your sister, and hell, your uncle, kept, just getting bigger, kind of gave me a sense of realizations that I'll never be able to take over this planet. It's just not going to be in you. By the time they're not here, I'm probably going to be too old to do anything. But as we've seen that, while the Namekians can live a long time, Kami was around 300 years old, give or take. Honestly, his age is a little hard to pick. He was at least minimum 300 years old. He can live a long time. Clearly, Kami's not warrior anymore. So, even though Piccolo might live a long time, he'll eventually just be too old and, so I figured I'd just spend the time improving myself here. And besides, humans are dumb. Humans are stupid. I enjoy it, and I like the solitude. Nature, despite the fact I want to take over this world, I have to admit. And then, he's kind of like looking out past the waterfall. This world planet does have its benefits. Peaceful out here. And Gohan actually like, it is pretty peaceful out here, isn't it? So a little bit. So the slow bond between Piccolo and Gohan actually starts to show up. Now, eventually, one day is going to come where either Kakarot, Maze, or Raditz, or hell, even Chi-Chi, who unfortunately doesn't get a lot of training these days, but who's at least maintained her power around 200. Maybe she got a little stronger. Maybe she's somewhere in the 500s, thanks to Maze being there. I almost went Gina again. But Piccolo maybe even gives him a couple lessons, helps him improve. That's why he gets to the 10,000 range. But at some point, one of them will show up and say, well, what do you do? Go on. What do you do? He's like, well, easy. I'm not trying to do anything. Look. My hands are this way. I'm not firing a laser. I'm not doing anything. And, it would be, among the three, it would be Kakarot who would be like, you promise? Yes, I promise. Pinky promise? Sure. Extends the arm. Perfect. Like, all right then, as long as you promise, because you know what. Besides, I know how much stronger you are than I am. I have no intention of harming your son. If anything, I'll admit, I've kind of grown a little fond of the kid. It's like, really, Mr. Piccolo? You think you're funny? Don't ever say that. Don't ever tell anyone I said that, kid. So yeah, but now we get on to the more meat of what's going on. Where is everyone kind of going to be power-wise, and new tricks or anything that are going to show up? Remember, 3 years training. Yamcha probably is going to because remember, they don't have their inner potential unlocked, and they've all basically had some hyperbolic time training. Maze, Goku, Kakarot, and Raditz, they're all maxed out on their hyperbolic time chamber. They can't go back into the time chamber. Likewise, Bulma, I don't think they've developed the gravity chamber yet. However, Raditz, I think they could make that during like half a year's time. So at the year and a half mark, they have the gravity chamber there. Though we realize that it didn't take very long to make it, I think the realization will show up to them that they can make that. So we'll get the gravity chamber about halfway through the 3 years. But in terms of that, before then, where's everyone going to stand? Well, here's the thing. In terms of the humans, Tien was the strongest around 15. Krillin was a little bit better than Yamcha at around 12 versus his 10. I might be flubbing those numbers slightly. Chaozu's pretty much, unfortunately, going to be thrown to the wayside like he always does. Sorry, Chaozu. I don't hate Chaozu's character, but you notice that he did just kind of get tossed aside in Dragon Ball Z after the Saiyan saga. He's like, here, Yamcha. Yeah, put Chaozu in the cupboard. It just makes a pretty little China doll. In terms of where their power are going to be, now, Yamcha and Krillin may very well train together, but I think Krillin may actually end up joining Goku, Maze, and Raditz every now and then. A, because he's crushing a bit on Maze, but B, because he knows he'll be getting a lot more training. In fact, I do think Yamcha and Tien may also join with them as well. I think because they've been keeping a bit more tighter bonds, especially recently, you might get them training a lot harder. Of course, Raditz, Maze, and Kakarot will go off on their own to train when they really need to. So basically, that's where a lot of training is going to come before the gravity chamber stuff comes into play. So where are they going to be at before that, or during that year and a half? Well, let's use some multipliers and go off of those, because in the year's training that they had before the Saiyans, Tien imagined 8 times, Krillin imagined about 6 times, Yamcha about roughly 7, give or take. But they were training with each other, but they also now have Goku, Kakarot, Maze, and Raditz. They also had some specialty training in like special rooms, but you're just going to have intense training here. So I'm going to give them all a solid 10 times multiplier in that 10-year time span, or that year and a half time span. Which would put Krillin, and that's just not to say they probably haven't done some light training since then, so maybe bump Tien up to 20, Krillin up to 15, and Yamcha up to about 12. So that means, doing the math, 200,000, 1,500, 150,000, and 120,000 in that order. Raditz, Gine, and I did it again, Raditz, Maze, and Kakarot. I'm going to just say that they're probably going to be in their millions at that point. Kakarot's definitely the strongest. I'll say 5 is a solid number. Raditz is probably still the second strongest. He's hitting about 3, and then Maze is around 2. But here's the thing. One of the things they would be trying to do is figure out Super Saiyan. They need, because the power that Trunks showed off, he completely eclipsed them. Even with their Ozaru forms, he completely eclipsed them. So they've been trying to struggle with that power, and they don't know how to access it. Maybe Raditz maybe suggests it has something to do with the Great Ape form, but they notice that Maze points out he didn't have a tail. We have no idea how he did it. So they're powering up, figuring it out, and at some point, they're doing like mental training, kind of like with Super Saiyan 3 mental training, deep meditation, if you will, and they're focusing in on it and just as if we got it. It's like I'm digging. You got to dig deep. And at one point, it's Kakarot who would be the first one to figure this out, and he's kind of like, yeah, he's kind of explaining as he's yelling, kind of as Goku did in the original series when showing Super Saiyan 3 to Trunks and Goten. So it's like, and he's all of a sudden they're noticing that he's starting to bulk up, just and he powers up into Great Ape form without a moon, and they're like, "What? How? You're in your Great Ape form, Kakarot? How? How did you do it?" And he again explains as an ape as he just sits down there, just and this and talking about the digging deeper part. So that's where another part of their training comes in. This all comes before the gravity chamber. Now, because of that, they do show up. I almost did it again. May's second one to get it because she's been able to do it almost as long as Kakarot has, if not longer. Just because she had better control over herself. Then Raditz ends up getting it. So they all can now access Ozaru right from the get. But that's still not enough. Now the gravity chamber comes in. And they're training hardcore. Everyone's getting to go in there, but I think at first, there's not enough room here for everyone, which there would not be. So I think Bulma might make a double-decker or triple-decker, a really big one, so they all have enough room to be training in there. Or she makes 2, because, let's be honest, Trunks, Tien, Krillin, and Yamcha could not handle the same levels of gravity that Raditz, Maze, and Kakarot could handle. So she makes 2 separate ones. They're all training. Now for Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien, I'm trying to think. They could easily handle 10 tons. We can definitely say that. In fact, honestly, because then they're 100,000. They say they ask how high it goes. It goes to 100. You're gonna have to make it stronger than that. We're way beyond 100 times gravity. I can tell you that right now. So, like with the GA, she is able to crank it all the way up to 500. Now, again, the humans side of it, they can handle at least 100 times. I'd say they'd probably be able to crank it all the way to 200, but that might be the limit because, again, physiology and biology more than anything else. So, after that's all said and done, where are they hitting? I'll give them all a solid 5 times after that, just because it takes it's a lot. And once you get stronger, it's harder to get stronger in large increments beyond transformation. So 5 times I think is really reasonable for those guys. Which again would put them at like 1,900,000 and 600,000 respectively, which I think would still be actually which is probably more impressive than where they were actually at in that point in the series. When it comes to the rest of them, though, I've heard some people say I kind of do this a little too much. What my obsession is with it. It's not an obsession. I just think it's a cool idea, and I don't use it all the time, obviously. But besides their actual training, which because they can go into much higher forms of gravity, they can get much higher multipliers, and again, multiple training with multiple people. I will say I will give them each a 10 times multiplier, which puts Kakarot at 50,000, Maze at 20,000, and Radz at 30,000. However, Kakarot, they still want to try to experiment with going into Ozaru, so periodically they will go into the mountains and train in Ozaru, like legitimate Ozaru's training. So that puts them well beyond, like at the end, that'd put them like at 500,000. But, that still is like, we're trying to get Super Saiyan. Maybe, so, in 8 form, Radz and Kakarot Maze are just, going back and forth, trying to figure out how to access Super Saiyan. And it's, and even Kakarot's like, ugh. It's like, darn it all, there's got to be a way to do it. Ugh. And, maybe if I try to compress the power and, and contain the power of the Ozaru in me, maybe that's something I can do. So that happens for a while. He's still struggling to do it, and then maybe by the final month, which, by the by, because remember, we never saw Goku getting a heart virus up until near the androids. Maze would constantly make sure to have the medicine on call because it's his big sister. That's just the way it works. They during one training session, both in their 8 forms, or all 3 of them in their 8 forms, Kakarot is beginning to go. And all of a sudden, he's going back down. It's like, are you going out of your transformation? Because that'd be another thing they know how to do is get out of the 8 form at will. But Kakarot's like, no, I'm trying to transform. It's like I'm trying to transform while keeping the power in me. So basically, that's how Kakarot is trying to compress the power of the Ozaru. And all of a sudden, they're noticing his power is starting to spike. Like, wait, what the hell? And they're like, whoa, and like the energy is just coming off him. They're feeling the compression, but it's kind of like Bleach actually used a really good example of this. It's like if you have a faucet of water and your energy is just constantly pouring out, you'll never know how to control it. But if you turn the faucet off, just suddenly all the pressure starts to just contain. So you're compressing all this power into one body. And so all of a sudden they're seeing Kakarot shrink back down, but he's looking different. This hair is still there, his tail's still there, his hair is still ragged. And Maze is having flashbacks to something she remembered from childhood during episodes where Kakarot would transform into the ape and then transform back, where he was regaining his sanity. And all said and done, and Kakarot is hunched over on the ground, just, and then, they transform back into their normal form. It's like, what are we looking at? What are you looking at? Whoa, what's on my voice? Sorry, hold on. Let me get my Goku good for a second. Hey guys, that sounds almost like SpongeBob. All right, guys, there we go. There's my yeah, there we. My gruff Goku sounds a bit more like Trunks. Oh right. Wait, why is my voice so raspy? Kakarot, you might want to look at yourself in a reflection. And he goes to this lake, and he's standing there in what I've affectionately dubbed not Super Saiyan 4, but Super Saiyan Primal, where he's been able to compress Uzaru down into his normal base form. And there he's standing. The fur, his hair, the pink eyeshadow. That part, see, I actually overall do like the design of it, but I don't understand the pink eyeshadow stuff. That's clearly not eyeshadow. I don't know what it is, honestly, but so it's like, what is this? It's like your power it's unbelievable. Everyone's sensing this pretty much around the planet who can sense energy. Just whoa. Now, to put it in perspective, again, there is no true multiplier for Super Saiyan 4. They've never explained that. The best example I've heard is 10 times Ozaru. The 10 times Ozaru, or it's basically 10 times added on to Super Saiyan 3. That's the best way I've heard it, because go Super Saiyan 3 and then transform the Great Ape, that's another 10 times. You compress it down to your human form, you're controlling that power. That's the best I've always heard it, which means it's over a 4,000 times multiplier of power. Which, again, we're leaving them power-wise at around, say, 50 million right now. That would put Goku, give me a second, 10, 500, 1 billion, 4 billion, 40 billion. 40 billion would be his power level right now. And then Goku, however, just quickly, and then he's like, whoa, and then he falls out of the form, because it's the first time he's using it. I doubt he could maintain it for more than a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds. And they're just, what the hell? It's like, so and this is, like I said, in the last month of it. So he spends a few weeks trying to really control this, get back into it. It's kind of like with Super Saiyan 3. I haven't had much time pulling this one out. This is what I call Super Saiyan 3. That's basically what it is, or Super Saiyan Primal. So that's more or less the case here. Is like even with training, he still struggles to even hit the form, and when he does, he can't handle it for very long. So he has to train with it and do as best as he can. So at best, he can maybe hold it for a minute, 2 minutes in that form. But still, they can access the Ozaru form, and Maze and Riots can't even access the form at this point. Like, they're trying to do what Kakarot did, but they just can't get it. Like, they don't know how he did it. So, and he can't even explain properly. It's like, it just felt like something I was able to hit at some point. You'll know when you'll be able to reach it. When you're about to reach it, you'll know. But anyway, we hit the androids coming. The Z Fighters all meet up. No one's hit Super Saiyan yet. Maze makes sure to have Goku's heart virus, though, on call, or heart virus medication on call. And when she notices that he does look a little winded, she ends up giving it to him. And I would imagine he'd be fine. Although he might need a little bit of TLC. So, I'm at 23 minutes, but I think I can go into this part real quick. So, the androids come. And at their base forms, they would not be a match for the androids right now. They're not good at, they couldn't take on the androids. So they immediately go into Ozaru forms, which immediately overwhelm these giants. Kakarot is only saving the Super Saiyan Primal for if he actually needs it, because right now he just doesn't have a good control over it. And likewise, transforming the Ozaru does increase the effects of the virus. Unfortunately for them also, they completely trash these guys. And honestly, I don't even think Jerome makes it out of there alive. Like, he's trying to, and then Raz just mouth blasts him, just tries to absorb the energy. However, Kakarot, right before he's about to drop dead, basically, just boom, grabs is like, nope, no, and then gone. So they drop out of their ape forms. Goku's now Kakarot's on the ground. Just Maze quickly gets over the heart medication to him, and they get him back to the house. And the day is saved. For now. That's right, because we have a dastardly Bugman looking for his brothers and sister. So, that's where we're going to leave part 6 off right now. Goku has more or less an imperfect Super Saiyan Primal form, Super Saiyan 4. The others don't have it, and no one has Super Saiyan at this point. Like, no one. So, yeah, keep your eyes out for part 7 next Sunday. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Who would win? Star Wars, Super Hero, Magic, what if? Anything to do with the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I'll get that at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks tomorrow, because I got another Who Would Win to do tomorrow. Later.